Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious. Yes, we will discuss theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. And tonight, we are going to review Star Wars, The Bad Batch, Episode 9, Bounty Lost. We are approaching the back end of The Bad Batch. Wow, that did not come out right. But that's what happens. All right, I am Doc Rudden, and joining me tonight are the crew, starting off with Slattman. Slattman, how you doing, sir?
Oh, good. You should ask Christopher G. Moore how he's doing.
I will eventually.
Oh, this is going to go bad. I can tell.
No. Train wreck. All right, also joining us, international cosplay queen and podcasting rockstar, Vanessa. See, I did it backwards that time. That was awesome, huh?
Backwards, back end. I'm just here for the ride.
Wow. This is how we start.
Welcome to our family-friendly show. All right, also joining us, of course, is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
This is how composure ends, with thunderous giggles. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Our previous podcast, Doc broke me, and I'm like the robot in this episode.
Aww.
I'm trying to put myself back together, and I don't have Omega to help me with that. I'm literally, I don't know. I'm broke. I'm broken in my head. I'm still laughing inside my brain right now. So hopefully I can make it through without giggling. But that depends on what references we make throughout this.
It's a good start, though, right?
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Just fix my leg. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to give our first impression of the show. Will be spoiler free during that time. Then we're going to dive into a discussion, which we will get into spoilers.
I realize I've become Stefan from SNL at this point. So if you see me doing this, it's because I'm trying to contain my humor.
All right. Then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts. Our score 1 to 5 at our favorite scene. I can't even get the spiel out. All right.
I've just been to the hottest nightclub ever. What's the name of the planet they go to?
What is the name of it? The name of the planet is Boravio. All kinds of clouds and nothing works.
Unless you go in through the back end.
All right, we are going to be talking about Bounty Lost. It's episode 9 of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. It aired on Disney Plus June 25th. The usual cast of characters. Although, I guess we should point out Corey Burton, Seth Green, and Ming-Na Wen. Yes, that's a little bit of a spoiler there, but that's fun. The Batch embark on a rescue mission, and as you know, we left off
oversimplification.
Omega was bounty hunted, right?
Yeah.
By our Cad Bane bounty hunter there in his sharp hat and accent. It was going to be interesting to find out what we thought. Let's dive in. Let's do this before things go south. Slattman, what was your first impression of The Bad Batch?
It was excellent. I have a lot to say. A lot of them pertain to spoilers, so I'm going to try my best not to spoil anything. But I love Cad Bane. I loved him in the Clone Wars. He is just as badass here. Fennec really shows up and kicks ass, and that little droid is just a pleasure.
Yes,
it's like the right type of comic relief, you know. So someone who can still contribute and is not there just to say one-liners. The planet they go to, the planet that a majority of this episode takes place on is very intriguing. From a Star Wars
reminiscent of something, right?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of planets that are gas giants that have structures like that on it. It's not just Cloud City. They're not the only one. But I think, or Bestman, sorry. It I from a lore perspective, there is a lot that this episode kind of opens up, and I'm interested to see what you guys think of it, because it kind of blew my mind of some of the stuff that we find out that's very subtle in this episode, and I loved it. Oh, and the action scenes were great, and the score is amazing, and this episode was beautiful. I loved the way this episode looked. So yeah, that's my very long-winded first impression.
An excellent first impression, sir. All right, Vanessa, you're up next. What was your first impression of episode 9?
I completely agree. I thought this episode was amazing. I thought the information that we received was like, it confirmed a lot of things we were thinking without slapping you in the face with it and still leaving more unknown. It's just excellent writing. And Omega, the things she learns, the way she grows, everything that we learn in this episode, you learn so much. This is a very revelatory episode as far as, tying things together, kind of showing us more the direction that we're going in. Some names were dropped in this.
Some names were dropped.
Yeah, that I'm expecting we'll probably see again, which I think is going to be a lot of fun if we do.
Maybe.
There's a maybe. I almost thought we were going to see it in this one.
I almost did too, yeah.
Yeah, which would have been interesting. And what we learn about the Kaminoans too, I find really, really interesting, and also explains a lot of questions that we had before. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode a lot. I enjoyed each of the characters that was in it. Cad Bane, and I think everybody already knows Fennec Shan, freaking phenomenal. Yes. The way you have to think too, they're choreographing fights for animation. So the way that they're choreographing these fights and just how tight and good and interesting it looks, the moves that they do, how individual they are to their characters, it's so good. They pay so much attention to what they're doing. I'm just really, really impressed. And yeah, I loved it. Loved this episode.
Loved it too, yeah. Well, let's find out what Christopher T. Moore thought of all the bounty hunter on bounty hunter action here. Sir.
How dare you? Don't you dare try to get me.
What was your first impression?
Yeah, I think this is another standout episode for this series so far. I think, and I think it shows that the confidence they have in the Omega character, to where we can have a pretty much most of the episode where it's her dealing with stuff, and the Bad Batch are basically side characters in this episode. So that's an amazing in itself. And yeah, I mean, not only does it have some really wonderful action scenes, but it also has some really wonderful revelations on, and stuff just as simple as a reflection tells you so much about a character.
Yes. That was
so yeah, I think the whole point of telling a story in sort of show format is to have an arc with the characters. And I think we definitely see the arc that's happening with Omega, where she's more and more she's learning about what she can do. At the same time, she's learning about who she is. And the Bad Batch, sort of like bringing her into their family, or trying to help her find her way, being the sort of the parents in this whole storyline. But yeah, I really love this. And, again, I was one of those naysayers at the very beginning. Ugh, Omega. She's that annoying character, like that extra character you bring on sitcoms. But now I think she's really grown into her character. And yeah, and so I'm liking her character more and more, to where I'm really excited to see where they go. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool references to other things as well. So yeah, this series I think is really doing a great job, and I realize one of the things I'm going to really work on is trying to go back and finish all the Clone Wars and stuff, because I really love the Cad Bane character.
Oh, just wait. If you haven't seen him.
But again, there's stuff involving his character that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, that's my first impression.
That's Chris's next cosplay, Cad Bane.
There you go. He's gonna be Cad Bane.
I have actually thought about that,
Do
because
it.
if you just make a mask,
you could do it. You could do it. I can see it now. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I enjoyed there's self-discovery, there's growth in Omega, there's the revelation when she goes into the one place and turns everything on, all the lights on, and sees what she sees, and she references that later. We'll get into all that. And of course, as our characters dig more into the past, they uncover something, which I found a little too easy for them to uncover, but I don't care. It's a great discovery. We need to know it, and it really throws in some interesting lineage going on here, quite literally. And the action was fantastic. The fights were fantastic. I will say the animation, I talked about in the first episode, I love how the animation looks in these episodes. They still run funny though. When they run down the hallways, they run so funny. But when they fight or fly around in their jet boots, it looks pretty awesome.
Oddly specific there, Doc.
Oddly specific.
Not a reference to this episode at all.
There is a big revelation to a character and a character's name, but I think we're going to let Christopher G. Moore go first, because I think that's going to show up in his top 10 list. So I don't want to steal his thunder, so let's have that happen, and let's do that now. This is what Christopher G. Moore brings to the show. We love it so much. The Easter eggs and the references and all the coolness behind the scenes.
Pew pew. I don't know why I did that. First of all, there's a part where the now I can't pronounce it. Kaminoans. I heard them pronounce it, and several of the little tidbit things I go on and look at.
Yes.
And I was trying to pronounce it, and I still screw it up. The Longneckians. There's a point where they say once you have retrieved the genetic material, terminate her. And that's a nice little correlation to The Mandalorian, where Werner Herzog's character is telling Dr. Pershing that, once you extract what you need, take care of it. So that's a nice little correlation there, especially when it deals with cloning, considering Dr. Pershing has the little cloning thing on his outfit. Tuan Wei, one of the Longneckians. I refuse to say that now. She actually showed up in Attack of the Clones. She was the person that showed Obi-Wan around that city. And actually, it's voiced by the same actress who voiced the character in Attack of the Clones, Rena Owen. Of course, we get to the planet Bora Vio, which is very much like Bespin and the Cloud City, that kind of stuff. But also those buildings you can see are very reminiscent of the Longneckians in their buildings,
yes,
which are similar. And it makes you think, well, maybe they're not from Kamino. Maybe they just go to places with, whether it's gas giants or water places where a lot of people don't live, so they can do their nefarious things.
Nefarious.
Yeah. When Omega discovers the clone tanks, they're greenish and stuff, and they're very reminiscent of those green tanks that we saw both in Rise of Skywalker as well as in The Mandalorian. So they're not those clean tanks that we see in the cloning facility. So it's something although those aliens are more like the gray aliens we see here on Earth.
Look like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird
too.
When the Bad Batch are trying to find out more about a Cad Bane, they mentioned that there was an attempt to abduct Chancellor Palpatine, which is actually a reference to the episode Crisis on Naboo, which involved Cad Bane. And also one of the big things he mentioned, the reason we're doing this top 10 list, one of the things is we finally find out that Boba his name was Alpha to her Omega. and that Omega is a pure genetic copy of Jango Fett, without all the little tweaking and stuff they do to these clones. So that's the big, they're twins.
they're siblings.
Huh? That seems very like
Where have we seen that before?
Oh, there's a lyricism to this all, where everything rhymes historically. There's a point where Omega jumps through the doors that haven't fully closed, which is very reminiscent of Han Solo in The New Hope when he jumps through the doors before they close. Although these weren't closing, but they mentioned that door handles are similar to Topoka City, which, if you don't know, that's actually the city the city of the cloners. Also, the point where they pull Omega out of her little ship, they pull her through the cargo chute in the same way they pull Luke into the cargo chute when he on Cloud City in Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh.
And also one thing that's more of an interesting tidbit is that if you notice Cad Bane, when his hat goes up or goes off, he has a metal plate on his head. And I don't think that's been mentioned before. So some people are thinking that maybe there might have been, he had his fight with Boba Fett where he got shot in the head. But again, maybe that'll be spelled out maybe in the upcoming Book of Boba. I don't know. I mean, that they focused on it for a reason. So we're going to find out why he has a freaking metal plate on his head.
For those who don't know,
Christopher
G. Moore is referencing a canceled Clone Wars arc that was supposed to be in season 6, got pushed out of season 6, was supposed to be in season 7, got pushed out of season 7 because of reasons, where it was basically a 3 or 4 episode arc where Boba and Cad Bane kind of fight each other, and it ends in a very Western drawl like what we got in the last episode. And Cad Bane shoots Boba in the head, and that's what caused the little dent in Boba's helmet. But Boba, because he didn't die, Mandalorian armor is good for that. Shoots Cad Bane and kills him in the episode. But if you got a big metal plate, obviously you didn't die.
Yeah, so because I think they for the longest time they said that was supposedly canon, even though they didn't show the episode. Although they did steal some of the same shots from that, although those shots were still in from Westerns of old, which, by the way, I love. I learned that a lot of people are thinking that Cad Bane is based on Clint Eastwood's Western characters, but it's actually more Lee Van Cleef, who was in The Good, the Bad, and Ugly.
Yeah,
if you listen to his voice, it's more reminiscent of Lee Van Cleef.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that.
A little more gravelly, because
and another small detail that I really like about this episode with Cad Bane is if you listen to his voice, it sounds like he's older than he was when he was in Clone Wars, which makes sense because he would be about 3 to 4 years older than when he was in Clone Wars. He's a little bit more gravelly. He's a little bit more like old manish, for lack of better terms. So I really like that. Cad Bane's great.
I enjoyed him quite a bit. This is the first 2 episodes I've seen him in, and it was fantastic. So it's Alpha Fett then. That's
Alpha Fett.
Alpha Fett.
Oh, that just sounds stupid. Like alphabet,
Omega Fett.
Omega Fett.
That sound. Are we sure Lucas didn't have any part of this?
Oh my gosh!
That's a new cereal, Alpha Fets.
Don't give them ideas. Disney will run with them.
They don't need them. Yeah.
And they'll be like little marshmallow Boba Fett.
Free Sarlacc in every box.
Ooh, I get it. If that's the case.
Yeah. Wow. Wrong show. All right. Where do we go from here? We got to talk about
My girl.
Yeah, I mean, she's a badass, right, Vanessa? And
Oh,
Wait,
you're
which
talking about
girl?
Omega? I was
Because
talking
I'm
about.
there's
talking
two
about-
badass females
I'm
in
talking
this
about
episode.
Fennec.
okay, well, tell us about Fennec then.
Fennec Shan, what a moment when she came in. Oh my god, I loved it so much. And I I think it was the little robot was like, there's a ship approaching, and I was like, one X-Wing? In my mind. It threw me back to that. Oh, amazing seeing her again, seeing her full on fight. Like, this is badass against badass, because when you go to watch Clone Wars, you're gonna see Cad Bane is a badass. He's like the definition of badass. Everything that that he has on him, he's learned from fighting Jedi to be able to beat Jedi. Like, he is an amazing bounty hunter. And Fennec Shan, from what we know of her after seeing Mandalorian, right? She's made her way, grown up, or not grown up, but grown in the bounty hunter lifestyle. So she's still young at this point, right? So to see her go toe to toe with Cad Bane is pretty awesome. And especially, she's so smart too, because obviously she thought ahead to sabotage his ship before she even went to confront him. So I really hope we see more of her. I'm not totally sure we will. I think they did a good send off kind of. But I hope we see more of her, because I love how it turned it on its ear, because there was so many things I was thinking, oh, is she working for Boba now? Who is she working for? Obviously, she's not working to bring her back to the Kaminoans. But getting that reveal of her being hired discreetly by Nala Se, again, I guess, I really, really love that. And it just shows kind of that beautiful relationship between Nala Se and Omega that maybe Omega isn't even aware of right now, So I don't know. I loved getting to see her again. I loved getting to see her fight Cad Bane.
Yeah, the guy doesn't have one flamethrower; he has two flamethrowers.
Yes,
he's been through it, man.
I was like, I don't. Did he have two flamethrowers in the Clone Wars?
No.
Okay, because I was like,
he's
damn,
upgraded.
Like,
Yeah,
I just love that.
He's gone on some bounties, and he is, upgraded.
He's ready for every situation. If I fall off, I use my boots. If you're shooting at me, I'll use my flamethrowers.
That is Cad Bane. He just needs a bigger hat now.
bigger hat.
He had a bigger hat.
He did.
And then
I know.
He lost it.
He needs it back.
He lost it. It's so sad.
He needs to get that Lady Demetrius hat going on.
All right, cool. So let's talk about Omega, because she does indeed fend for herself quite a bit. She's smart, and she tricks our little robot character. What is that robot's character's name? The little Seth Green.
Yeah, Seth Green.
Toto or
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, Toto. Yeah,
Totoro or something like that.
Yeah. It is something like that. Yeah.
But she also outwits them all and is on the run and is able to stay free for quite some time, even though she gets captured a couple times in her escape, and she does make it off planet, or at least into the air.
She doesn't give up.
No. I will say, though, there were two times that I was really impressed with the animation and the body language that it was. And Christopher, you mentioned it earlier when she looked into the tanks and you see the reflection, and that was a beautiful shot, and especially for animation, it was just so well thought out and planned. And then her reaction when the escape pod was puttering out, and she was like, "Oh no!" She's bracing herself, and she's like,
"Well, yeah." I think again, with making shows and making movies, you tell your storytelling through visual stuff, and you don't necessarily have to come out like, "Oh, I'm a clone like them." You don't have to have a piece of dialogue saying that, and just showing that, you can show so much, and you even just you could see like there's even the part where she's trying to trick. I think the name's Toto 360 is the name of the robot. But when she's trying to trick the robot, you can see in her eyes the gears are turning. And when you can do that through animation, that just shows you that's great storytelling right there, where you can show it through the characters, just in how they're not even because she doesn't necessarily have to say like talking to herself like, I need to figure out a way to trick this robot.
Yeah. Well, that moment in particular is so special because she doesn't lie to him. She does help him. She does get him working, and then she kind of makes him take a little nap. But it's like that, I think that was really important because she could have just like bonked him and left, right? Had she been a different kind of character. So I think it was really important to show, especially when she's questioning his friendship, right, with Cad. It's really building something there and showing her character a lot.
Yes. And of course, reuniting with the Bad Batch was special, especially how Wrecker was even the most concerned. Of course,
we're coming for you, Omega.
Yeah. I mean, Hunter was too, but in a different way, right?
Well, but I think for me, like, you have this scared little girl whose hands are in handcuffs the whole freaking time.
Yeah.
And she's still being resourceful and getting her, but at the same time, like when she shows up, she feels safe. And I think I almost got a little bit teary-eyed when she went to Hunter. Because he's basically almost like the dad figure. I feel like Wrecker's the big brother and Hunter's the dad figure. And then when she goes over to him, almost like she's trying to hug, but she can't. It's like, oh my God, it's heartbreaking because you realize that she's trying to be strong and resourceful, but at the same time, she's still scared and she feels safe in the arms of these big brutes who are her family. And so it was, and then her like little conversation a little bit later with Hunter, where you can see the scaredness in her eyes, and it's like she's wanting to give up. She's like, why are they coming after me and all these different things. And I don't know. There's like so many great revelations in this episode where, she's learning more about who she is, but at the same time, it's like, what's her purpose if it's like, if all these people are always going to be coming after me,
Yeah, she's always going to be looking over her shoulder. She's always going to be on the run.
Always going to be scared about, somebody's going to kidnap her or try to kill her. And
that's what she's realizing. Okay, so they name drop Boba Fett. He's the Alpha. She's the Omega. Are we going to see Boba Fett in the next half of the show, or are they saving that? And then I have a follow-up question. So.
I'm not sure because I think that's more of a name drop to show the importance of her because to just say that, she's one of two pure blood offspring from Jango. Like, she's not altered in any way, shape, or form. She's been alive for, if she's like 12, she's been alive for 12 years. She doesn't have the advanced aging. She doesn't have any of the modifications like we thought. She's probably not force sensitive because she's not a little experiment in that way like they were with like we thought. Like I think
is she?
I mean, I'm not convinced anymore, but I think like Boba and Jango to an extent, she's just she's got good genes, to put it like.
I mean, but it does make her a Fett, right? She is a Fett.
Yeah,
I mean,
she is.
The clones are all in a way, but she is.
She's more of a Fett
direct
than
one. Yeah.
Well, I guess the important thing is that she's not a Palpatine.
Yeah. Well, I think we might see each other because I think we're gonna see an adult Omega in the Book of Boba Fett.
That's where I'm going.
I think that is almost guaranteed to happen. I hope. So I think maybe they'll plant a little seed with them meeting, or they might leave it until they're older.
Flashback scene.
Or she dies.
Or it's a stinger, right? No, she's not going to die. I think Vanessa's right. I have a feeling it'll be like the stinger of the episodes. Right?
Omega,
I don't know. We'll see.
Omega is the end of the Alpha Fett, but.
That was more of a dad joke than I think.
I know.
Doc is-
I know. I feel ashamed.
How low have
I feel
you
so
sunk?
ashamed.
Is there?
I'm
Well,
still proud of myself, but I'm very ashamed.
Are there more of them in between? You know, is there a gamma fit?
Hulk fit.
Cricket.
No, I didn't. It was a
Space
joke.
cricket. I don't know. I mean, did they?
I mean,
what did, I mean, it's
go ahead.
well. I mean, if you think about it, it's like when they went to that the Boravio place. Evidently, they have all these disregarded science places.
Yeah.
You know, where all these disregarded, you know, cloning projects. So who's to say that they might have like gone through a bunch of clones? Because when we realize that these Kaminoans are like, oh, I said it right. Are I'll never say it the same again. Are a little bit nefarious. They care about their money.
They're up to something.
And they're always up to something. They always have hidden stuff. Which is actually mentioned in I think it's Attack of the Clones or whatever, where the guy who owns the little restaurant or whatever, that was the guy with like 4 arms.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those cloners are
So to that,
yeah.
oh my God, Anakin, you've gotten so big. No,
in the 50s diner in Sci-Fi.
what was I gonna say? So to that, they continue to call Omega Nalase's science experiment, right? And clearly she's a 4 years younger than Boba at this time, about around somewhere around there. So that makes me think that she still kind of might be force sensitive. I don't know. They've revealed that she's the same as Boba Fett, but because they call her a science experiment, because she came around later on, I feel like it makes it seem like she has a little bit more.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think the clones would hedge their bets on someone who's just like a normal clone. I think there has to be something more to her.
So
I don't know. That's just me.
To counter
just us.
that, the reason that
to counter it.
the reason that she's so important is because she's pureblood, a pureblood offspring of Jango.
Yeah.
And the gene that they're using to create the clones at this point is deteriorated to the point that they can't make any more clones. So in order for them to make more clones, they need Jango Fett or the next best thing, which would be Boba, but Boba's MIA, so that would be Omega because she's pure blood, unaltered DNA.
But they have to make better clones, right? They don't care about more clones. You
but
can make
here's
a million more clones that he would be like, I don't want them.
Well, but my question is, why would they hide that? Why would they hide that aspect of a specific clone if it's just a better clone as opposed to it being a clone with special abilities?
Or something that Nala has been hiding.
To me, it's like they wouldn't be hiding that fact. To be like, hey, we've worked on this specific clone, and it's
like I don't even think the
perfect.
senator knows. I think only Nala Say knows exactly.
And I think
who Omega is.
It would make sense that if they found out the Kaminoans are like making like, you know, force sensitive clones, the Empire's like, no, we don't need any more Jedis in this world, and they'll just shut it all down.
You keep those midi-chlorians to yourself.
But then you have but then you have Palpatine going,
Yeah.
How can I make a clone for myself?
A mini.
Exactly like that too.
Just
A
the
million non-traceable credits.
That was funny. Non-traceable or unmarked credits.
Unmarked credits.
I thought
It's
that
like-
was funny. Like, what?
That's brilliant though, because right now you've got a lot in this state of the Empire, or in this state of the Empire, you've got a lot of worlds where you have to have Empire credits,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of worlds where you have to have the Old Republic credits, and they're stamped differently when you turn them in. So having unmarked credits means that when you go to a world, you just go boop 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 boop, and you can.
That's crazy. That's attention to detail there too. To even include that line, you know, it's great.
He's not a slacker.
Well, it's just, I guess it's another version of unmarked bills, you know.
Yeah, but it just to even include that, I think is really cool.
Yeah, because like Cad Bane, he doesn't want to have the Empire on his
Tracked.
back.
He's not trying to be tracked.
So I have a question for you guys. Based on the shapes that we saw in the tubes, in the green mysterious goop,
Gross.
do you guys think that the Kaminoans are cloning themselves? Are they a society of clones themselves?
So the first clone we saw was the weird guy with like the face like this, right? We've seen him before in other Star Wars movies. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He was the guy. It wasn't he like the guy with Lando in the Falcon and
I think so.
in Return of the Jedi. That species.
Yeah, the weird. So I think that's the first one we saw. The second one I thought was a Kaminoan, the one that falls on Fennec Shan, but it also looks like a gray alien, right? It doesn't look exactly like a Kaminoan.
It doesn't. It doesn't really have a long neck. It's just a big tall
weird.
gray. It looks like normal gray aliens,
doesn't it?
From Earth. So evidently they're cloning aliens that are coming to Earth.
Well, that means they're cloning all kinds of species, right?
Yeah,
or attempting to.
I guess they're just they're making clones for whoever
or were
pays,
making clones.
Or we're making clones because evidently someone actually there's people that translate the different Arabic or whatever they're using for that thing, and there was where people had escaped and stuff. So maybe there was people that invaded it. Maybe it's one of those things where the Empire or somebody shut it down. I don't know. Or
the way it's deteriorated, I think it's been a long while, before the Phantom Menace, long while.
Well, I think if anything, it shows maybe they're doing all these nefarious and weird experiments without people knowing, and then they get caught doing it and they move on to the next planet.
Maybe they're working with the Empire at some point down the line, because Palpatine was known to do weird experiments like that.
But there's no Kaminoans on Exegol though.
Maybe they're
all weird.
I wonder, was there Yoda in one of those, or?
I didn't see. I didn't notice that.
No, they were all big, ugly alien.
When Omega so smartly knocked that over on Fennec Shan, I thought that was a great move on her part, but also really gross.
It was really gross. Yeah, it was really
Especially when you got this dead alien body.
How long has that been there? Hundreds of years? Who knows?
Hey, that was your Ghostbusters reference, okay? She got slimed.
She
did get slimed. She did. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts. Our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. But before we do, we want to thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you're enjoying not only this review, but many others that are on the channel. We are also covering Loki, and we did The Mandalorian and WandaVision and other things.
Oh wow! Why did you have to mention Loki now?
Well, we gotta cover Loki, and then
Stop.
All right, let's please leave comments down below, and you know what comment you want to leave. All right, let's give our final thoughts, our score and favorite scene. We'll start off with the Slattman, sir. Let us have it.
I'm giving this one a 5. It's another banger. They keep pumping them out, man. Great episode after great episode after.
Yes.
After great episode.
It's gonna get you all tickled up
again
because we got so we'll just concentrate.
I'm gonna cover you up so I can.
You can do it, Slattman. You can do it.
I love the interaction that we get, the fight that we get between Cad Bane and Fennec. That was very well choreographed, and it really shows the tools that both of our bounty hunters are good with, and it was very inventive. I feel like it's much more than just a standard, fisticuffs hand fight or shooting blasters down the hall at each other, and missing a lot. And I I love how resourceful Omega's gotten and how much she's grown, and they're building her up so well. And if she does die, I'm gonna cry.
We
Why
will
did you
riot.
I don't remember who said that, but that is not the that's not the timeline that we're on.
That's not an option.
That is the darkest timeline.
Yes. Along with crazy gnomes and fires, and so I absolutely love this episode. I love what it brings to the Star Wars universe. Just from a lore perspective, there's so much there. Even in the small details, there's so much there. And it again, I said this earlier, but I think this is a beautiful episode. There are some shots in there that even though it's animated, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I just especially with all the fog and everything, and the eerie mood of this old, like, rundown cloning facility that looks eerily like Cloud City. And I wonder if Lando bought Cloud City and kind of repurposed it, but yeah. I think I said it already, but this one's another 5 for me. 5 out of 5. And my favorite scene is there's a lot. There's a lot of really good scenes. Oh,
Yes.
I don't know which one to
Which
pick.
one's your favorite scene, sir?
It's probably the it's probably when Omega's in the in that central cloning area, and she's going around and looking at the different tubes. And then Finnick comes in and is like, you don't know, wouldn't want to know what they would do to you. And that realization that Omega has at that moment, like, that's a powerful scene.
It is very much so. All right, Vanessa, you're up next. Your final thoughts, scoring favorite scene?
Yeah, I very much agree. This is a fantastic episode. And I like how it was very Omega centric. Our Bad Batch, like we were saying, is kind of the B cast in this, and I really enjoyed that. I loved getting to see other characters take the lead. I really enjoyed everything about this episode, the revelations that we got, the way Omega has grown, the characters that they mentioned in it that are going to lead to, I just know so many amazing things across different shows that we're going to see. Like, what if we do see a live action Cad Bane? That would be really interesting, And as I was watching the fight between them, I kept thinking to myself, well, we know Fennec is going to make it, but we don't know that Cad is going to make it. This could be his demise. Who knows what this character is going to do? And I absolutely love that. I love what they're doing to incorporate different characters into the lore, into the story, really give them agency in the Star Wars history. So I'm definitely giving this one a 5 too.
Nice.
Absolutely. Nice. And my favorite scene is the introduction of Fennec Shan again, and then the subsequent fight between her and Cad Bane. I thought that was beautiful. And it's still so Western, in the way that it's styled and the way that it's choreographed. And it's almost a little, they did still make it a little bit East meets West, because her moves are based more on that kind of, at one point, she's standing like this to fight him. So I really like how they show the two different fighting styles, how they keep her true to a certain kind of fighting style. And I love that they kind of both had to go their separate ways, right? They both are going on their own journeys, and I can't wait to see where we pick up with them again.
Yeah. I like that she was able to one up him without undermining his power, right? His position in bounty hunter.
Oh, no, exactly, right? They both are equal at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yep. All right, Christopher G. Moore, you are up next, sir. Your final thought, score, and favorite scene.
Yeah, I'll agree with what Vanessa was saying. She almost felt ninja-ish at some point because she throws like
the
the
samurai
thing,
kind of moves.
yeah, the different Asian influenced
Yeah.
style of fighting. Yeah, I love this episode. I think like the other two, it definitely gets a 5 out of 5 for me. It's got some really amazing scenes, some really beautiful scenery. I mean, it's like I think it's always great when we have places that feel similar to what we've seen in the universe, but then they put their own spin on it. Because we always talk about Cloud City and Bespin and how cool it is. And this one, you have this sort of evacuated city where the windows are broken and the clouds just seep in and creating all this weird eerie fogginess to it. At the same time, it creates a very precarious situation when people are fighting to where if you go off the wrong way, you're just gonna you're gonna fly forever. Yeah, I thought and I think also just the character work, especially with it being a more Omega centric episode and showing a little bit more growth and arc in her character, to where not only do we see her sort of abilities and resourcefulness as she grows into who she is, but at the same time, she also has that realization of what she is, which is both frightening, and you can understand how it's hard for her to understand that. And also, I think it's kind of surprising. I think we all thought it'd be one of those things where it takes them forever for the Bad Batch to catch up with her, but it happens in one episode. Crazy. So yeah, there's some really wonderful moments, and the action scenes I think are just great. Whether it's the fight scenes or even the parts where she's trying to escape to the that little mini ship. And I'm scared of heights, so the whole time I'm like, I don't think I think I would crap into the gaseous planet and not be able to jump off. So I think a lot of the stuff that she did, it just shows you how heroic and crazy she is, even when her hands are like, because the whole time I'm like, oh God, that'd be so precarious having to walk down like this ladder when you're millions of miles above this weird ass gas planet.
I have to say, I love when she jumps on that little robot and floats around, because that is such a callback to things that Anakin would do in Clone Wars, and it just is so cute.
Oh yeah, the droid that's peeking in on Attack of the Clones. He rides on that. So yeah, everything's lyrical and rhymes, like Lucas always mentioned about his stories and stuff. And yeah, so as for favorite scene, this is probably a mini part of Vanessa's, but I just like the dual flamethrowers.
Yes.
I was like, this guy is not playing.
Yeah.
I don't need one flamethrower. I'm using 2 flamethrowers just to be so extra, because my name's Cad Bane, mother effers. So he noticed I didn't say the actual word. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite thing. It made me really love Cad Bane even more and more, to where, look, I want to cosplay this dude one day. So yeah, that's my favorite bit. Although I will say there's a lot of bits I probably could have picked from this. And I mean, in fact, the scene with the looking at the clones and stuff, I think that reflection would have been another thing I probably would have picked as well. So, but yeah, I think another great episode on this series. I love where the story's going, and I'm like, what's going to happen next? Because every time you think there's going to be this long arc, it all happens one episode. It's like, what's going to happen next? So
let's do it. They do it right then and there. Keep us on our toes. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the fact that we spent so much time with Omega, and got to see her grow, got to see her be resourceful, use her smarts, and basically use things that she's learned by hanging out with the Bad Batch, putting those things to use, right? And it's rewarding. as a viewer to, get to see that arc and that growth. So, yay! I think Filoni is definitely paying attention to Lucas in that, right? He's quite the Padawan, if you will. But of course, he might have passed his little Jedi school thing, and whatever happens there, you'll have to tell me, Christopher. What can I say? What can I say? It's I'm going to give it a 5 as well. I was going to do slightly lower, but you guys talking about it just makes me love it even more. And yes, it has wonderful moments, and I loved how Wrecker was just, like you said earlier, when he's like, "We'll be right there," and the other two are like, "We don't even know where she is. We can't be right there." So, favorite moment. It's definitely I'm just going to mention the reflection scene because I'm going to pick a different favorite moment, but I just want to point out the importance of that for me, that as recognizing that from a storytelling standpoint, that was an incredible scene, and it's really just it's one scene, says a lot, and it's very cinematic, and it's something that I don't even know if I would expect that in like the best animated Pixar film, coming out. They're really doing a great job with this. So I'm going to go with the Alpha Fett moment, and saying that there is an Alpha, and he goes by the name Boba, and I just love putting that reference so solid in here, and that we have been questioning, is Omega actually, from Fett, or is it from somebody else? And now we know, might be a blend, but definitely, well, it can't be because she's the pure DNA, so it can't be a blend. Might be tinkered with, but not a blend of any other character. So it's interesting because now there's a connection with another character that is beloved, right? And it's a straight up, almost brother, sister, sibling scenario. And if ever they do get the opportunity to encounter each other, it would be a very interesting story to see if they would even, would they even be friends, or would they be enemies?
Twins, Basil.
Twins. Basil.
As long as they don't kiss. I can do without that.
Weird. Let's not repeat that.
Been there, done that.
I'm a little lukewarm on that.
He tickled himself.
I feel ashamed by that.
Do you?
That was a horrible joke.
Do you?
Not really, but yeah.
Come on, we could start going with the great lines from Star Wars. That you came in that thing, you're braver than I thought. Anyway, what? All right, there's our review of Bad Batch episode 9. Apologies for all the dad jokes, but we definitely are looking forward to the next 7 episodes. Only 7 more, all the way into August. Will our character survive? Will Christopher, come on. Let's go ahead and end this now while we still can. Thank you for hanging out with us. Christopher, Slattman, Vanessa, thank you all so much. This was an enlightening conversation.
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno.
Muy feliz.
What?
I don't know.
Too happy.
Yeah.
Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.